Welcome back to Overtime. Closing up shop here. One of my favorite times of the year is when we have the blend of high school football, college football, and the NFL. Coming up tomorrow is the season opener of the NFL. Interesting storyline as the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers face off against the Dallas Cowboys. It's a good, interesting year for Dallas. They're on Hard Knocks right now. Dak is back with that monster contract. They say Zeke Elliott is looking back in midseason form. It's a different Dallas Cowboys football team. One would maybe think, who knows, with Dak being back. What are your early takes on this opening matchup and NFL being back?
I think that the Cowboys are always that enigma where you don't know what you're going to get from them. They're expected to be better than they should be,
right.
But they're never as good as they're probably think they are, or that even they can be. Last year I thought that game against Atlanta, where they came back at the end and they had that miracle comeback, and Dak was putting up incredible numbers for them early on before he got hurt, but they weren't very good in so many other aspects of the game. And you never know, Dallas, they're so inconsistent from week to week. So I think they can compete in their division, because their division, you don't know what you have right now.
Right.
The Eagles are an unknown. The Giants are an unknown. The Redskins they're all an unknown. Really, I don't know. Thinking about them now, I'm like, geez, who's the best of that four-team mess?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. And that's the same questions we had last year going into the playoffs, and it ended up being Washington that hosted that playoff game. We got a bunch of games on the slate, the 16 games on the slate overall. You haven't got to pick all of them, but what are some of the things you'll be looking out for here in week one of the season?
Well, we have the Sam Darnold Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
The Jets and Panthers. I think the Panthers will be better. The Jets had some major injuries in the preseason, so I thought they looked good at times, but you can't judge by the preseason. You never really know. The Cardinals I like as a football team, but the Titans made some moves too. Getting a wide receiver they really needed to from Atlanta. I think really is going to help their offense. The Eagles and Falcons, probably two teams that underachieve, even though that the Eagles do have Devonta Smith and they have Jalen Hurts. Interesting to see how they do. The Steelers, I like, who they drafted. I like Najee Harris going to them. I think he's a perfect fit. But the Bills are supposed to be the team to beat in the AFC East, and you have two other good teams in Patriots and New England that are playing as well this weekend. That's going to be the most interesting thing to me, is that AFC East. Yeah. Because even the Jets can be good enough to beat some teams depending on how Wilson develops.
Exactly.
I think that those three teams right there could be three very good teams in the AFC this year.
Exactly. I think so, too. I think a lot of Alabama fans will also be watching that Dolphins-Patriots game, specifically because that's Tua versus Mac Jones. You see some of the other matchups. I think Browns-Chiefs will be really interesting as well. That's a big number for a really good Browns team. I think that Browns can make that one look really interesting. And the night on Monday is over against the Raiders.
I think that's two teams that are almost identical.
Exactly.
Because the Ravens, Lamar Jackson is one of the better quarterbacks, but he really hasn't done it in the postseason. The Raiders, a lot of teams, a lot of people are picking them to be a team to reckon with. I don't know if they're at the Chiefs level.
Right.
But they're in Vegas now. There's always this kind of awe that people have for the Raiders, much like the Cowboys.
Right.
And I think that new stadium is just something that gives them a whole new outlook, because when you see them play in the Coliseum all those years, it was like a yawn.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see them in that new, beautiful stadium with people in it.
Exactly. Final minute, final topic. The Atlanta Braves, 73-64 on the year, 2.5 games up with 25 games to go. Are you sitting where you sat last week, still really high on the Braves as far as winning this division and making the playoffs?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think they're the best team. The Phillies, we looked at it, the Phillies probably have the easiest schedule. I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if the Phillies overtook the Braves and wound up winning the. Now, I'll just drop dead if the Mets do it. But I definitely think that the Phillies, their schedule is easier. But Atlanta, they made the moves they had to, and it's just kind of riding it out. They made it through a really tough part of their schedule. The only really teams they play that are hard now are San Francisco and maybe the Mets and Phillies to close out the year.
We'll close it out right there as the Atlanta Braves will close out their season. We'll keep track of it here on Overtime. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Game of the week tomorrow, Pleasant Grove and Winona. We'll see you next week.